Hey ladies, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bianca, the excellent wife and mom, and I am so glad that you're here. Today I'm going to talk about homeschooling and options, because a lot of the homeschool magazines and publications and books, it seems to be there's a trend towards the end result of this is going to college or high school transcripts and all this stuff. But I want to challenge you with thinking there are other avenues. And here's one I was talking to, and I want to talk about this because I was talking to a friend of mine who, her daughter doesn't want to go to college. And, there are many high school homeschool kids who that's not the path they want to take. So, and I'm actually not pushing that on my children. If that's where they want to go, that's fine. But it's not, I'm going to provide options for them. So, and I told her, I said, since this kid doesn't want to go, and they are business owners. She wants to work in a family business. So I said, well, why don't you, she doesn't have to take that traditional route where you go to school, homeschool, whatever, for the until you're 18, 17, whatever, 18, and then go to college. There's another way to do things, and consider this, that you can get a GED, and they can get that sooner than they get the little high school diploma. Because even her husband, I said, you look at him, he didn't see any value in high school, and he dropped out. And he didn't get a GED until much later, but he dropped out. The guy, he was a businessman. They weren't teaching him what he needed in school. And so he, started his own business, very successful businessman. My husband, he was like, I wasted these years in high school. And if, I had to do all over again, I would have done this, done things differently. And so, you can, like I said, go, they can get a GED and they can be, further along than their cohorts. And then if let's say they got their GED about 16, right? And they can start taking, take courses at a community college, right? Start taking those courses. And by the time the 18-year-olds graduate from high school, you have them, they'll be graduating with a AA degree. And so you don't have the competition, as far as the ACT, the SAT, or whatever that, they have this degree, so they can transfer to any four-year school. And so, that's a way to think about things. And I know, like in homeschool community now, they have the little dances, like the proms and all that kind of stuff. Anything of a regular school homeschool community has it as well. But, think outside the box too, with that. I mean, if your kids want to do a prom or whatever, go for it. That's absolutely phenomenal. But, think about, the kid may want to go take a trip to some other part of the world. That's an option. They might want to go spend some time in another state. That's an option. So you just want to think outside the box here, because especially as we're an unschooling family, I tend to do things outside the box anyway. It doesn't have to be traditional with me. And so right now, that's the path that I'm, thinking towards for my kids to, go ahead, you get your GED. And even, my husband, he's one of the things, he's also a full-time professor. So that's one of his occupations. He has like a lot of things that he does, but he's also a full-time professor. And he was just, talking about the system. And here's the big part. Because if they're not going to a four-year institution, we know community colleges, they're less expensive than four-year institutions. So, and here's my thing. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but let me just stay with me for a minute. Why? Now I'm really big on this. Like if I see kids even around here, my neighbor, I remember when she was about to graduate school, or before, I would talk to her, about the same thing. Go to the community college, we're right around the corner from it. Don't go get into all that debt. And I was asking, what are you going to major in? Okay, if you're majoring in childcare, preschool, whatever, girl, don't get all that debt, because you start behind. And as I begin to look at things, I'm like, wait a minute. You have these kids who have trades, okay? You're spending 4 years at a school where you're incurring all this debt. You have these other kids who are in trades, right? And they're getting their trade diploma in high school. So while you're in school and carried out of debt, they are getting life experience. They're working and they're not getting into debt. Hopefully, if they're not, going charging everything and all this stuff. So they're getting life started without all this debt. So they actually come out ahead. And so once you graduate college, you still have all this debt to pay off. So consider that if you are a parent, give your kid a head start. If you have an education fund for them, that is fantastic. But if you don't get them into debt. Don't lock them into a system where they're going to have to spend, the next 30 or so years of their life paying back in education. And then I'm not so sure about the educational system anyway. I'm not too, but consider that. There's other alternatives. And if you have businesses, let them begin to work in those things. Find out what it is that they like. And then also, if you have friends with businesses, let them work with them. Because that's something that I found, different families with businesses, they'll hire their friends' children and they'll train them, So let them get that experience because that puts them farther ahead. We have a set of friends, their daughter, she married, I think she was 18 or 19. And so they bought a house. They paid for that house cash. All right. This young man, started this business, and like his father was up here in our area, but he worked with the girl's father, and so then he moved to another state, started his own business, and then they did everything cash. Like they just had their, an example from their parents, and parents' friends, where they didn't go incurring all their debt, and now they have a house that's fully paid for, and now they just had a kid. So, you want to put your children on a lifestyle of success. Don't start them out in all that debt, and really, really consider that. Really consider that.